So good afternoon. Welcome to today's Munch and Learn. Hopefully you're tucking into your sandwiches or your bento box or your packet of crisps or whatever else it is while we use up the next 30 minutes of your time talking about systemization and automation in your business in order to get the best out of your teams. And today's guest is Seb. Welcome, Seb.
Hi there. Thank you.
Good to see you. Seb runs a business called SME Advantage, and their whole purpose in life is to help you automate your processes. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff with Seb in the next 20 minutes or so. If any of you on the call have got questions, please type them in the question box. Your camera and microphones are turned off, as I've just mentioned in the chat. So you've only got to worry about what Seb and I are saying. Alongside your knife and fork, you've got a pen and pencil on a notepad, I know, ready to take notes and write down your learnings. So I think the first thing we had a conversation prior to this. The first thing we were talking about was productivity, wasn't it? So what can you tell me about productivity?
So when I think about productivity, I'm always thinking about it from a systems point of view, and making your business systems help to make you more productive. And so the way the definition, if you like, or the example of how to achieve productivity that I always give is you should be getting your system to automate or take away from you absolutely anything that you don't have to do as an individual. Now, obviously, there's certain things within the business you have to do. Normally, they're customer-facing things, depending on what the business is, of course. But there's lots of things that you as a business owner or as somebody who works within a business don't need to do that you're currently doing. Automating those things will make you and make the business much more productive. And that's what I tell people.
Yeah, very good. So repetitive tasks in particular, obviously huge. So what's the phrase that they use? It's automate the routine and humanize the exception. And I think that probably is the summary of what you just said. Great. Great. So perhaps you just give our guests a little bit of background on the business that you're running. Just a couple of minutes on what that looks like and what it is you do.
Yeah, of course. So the business is called SME Advantage. And as you mentioned, Simon, our sole kind of goal in life is to work with small to medium-sized businesses to help them become more productive and more efficient by using their business systems properly. Now, or every business will have a business system of some description. So in some instances, it might cover kind of end-to-end, and some it might be a membership portal, or it might be a membership system, or it might be a CRM system or something else. But every business will have some kind of system. But I also guarantee that almost every business, certainly the ones that I speak to, aren't using it to its full potential. They aren't using it properly, in inverted commas, and therefore they're not actually getting the benefit out of it. So we're a Zoho partner. Zoho is an Indian company, and basically historically they are a CRM provider, if you like, or CRM systems provider. And about 7 or 8 years ago, they released a suite of products called Zoho One. And Zoho One is the operating system for your business. So anything that you could need as a small to medium-sized business, from accountancy software to social media post scheduling to an equivalent of like OneDrive or Dropbox, to CRM, to MailChimp style email automation campaigns, anything that you could need to run a small business exists within Zoho One. And so we are, as I say, we're a Zoho partner, a Zoho Advanced partner, and we exclusively use Zoho to improve business productivity, enhance productivity, make businesses more efficient, and therefore more enjoyable and hopefully more profitable.
Yeah, and of course the caveat to what we talked about at the beginning, and the title of this was how to get the best out of your teams. And of course, to get the best out of your teams, you need to provide as much automation as you can to systemize the routine and humanize the exception. That's brilliant. Thanks for the background. And I think you told me the other week when we were talking that actually they're the largest privately owned, Zoho, the largest privately owned business in India, and now trading at over $1 billion.
That's correct. Yeah, 100% privately owned, which is insane.
Phenomenal. That's not what you expect these days. You usually expect a VC funding organization to be in there growing some business massively. So really good to hear. Okay, so it's really easy to automate things, obviously, because I can log onto the internet and I can put in a Google search and I can find a tool to do this or a tool to do that or a tool to do the other. why is what you're talking about here, systemizing your business with one system, better than having, I don't know, 20 software tools that I use every day?
So so you're absolutely right. There's hundreds probably of software and business systems out there that can automate certain elements of most businesses, and that's absolutely true. Our ethos is it's not enough to simply automate things. I mean, that will help in the short term and acts a bit like a sticking plaster, I guess. But it's not enough to simply automate things. That will save you time, but it needs to improve the customer experience if you want to make it effective and sustainable and long term. So we don't just automate for automation's sake. We automate with a view to obviously making the business more productive, but also making the customer experience, whether that be the email they receive or the invite to a call or the invoice that they receive or whatever it happens to be, needs to be as easy as possible for them to engage with and action. And it needs to make their experience better as well as the businesses. And that's the difference.
Okay, yeah, makes perfect sense. I guess the other thing that is perhaps hidden under the edge of the carpet is, of course, if I have 15 different products that I'm buying in order to run my business in an automated fashion from different providers, I'm probably spending, I don't know, £400, £500, £600, £700 a month on all of those applications.
Yep.
And I remember you telling me that Zoho operates on a different basis to that. What's the difference?
Yeah, and that's the difference. So you can buy any Zoho product, any of their 50 products you can buy on an individual basis. But what they've got is a package called Zoho One, which is what I mentioned earlier. So Zoho One includes all 50 applications, and it's licensed. This is part of the beauty of them being a private company and all the rest of it, is it's licensed in a really competitive manner. So if you license every employee in your business, which most small to medium-sized businesses do, then it's £35 per user per month gets you access to all of those 50 applications, and it's as black and white as that. There's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. It's as black and white as that. So we've taken businesses who are using I'm naming names just because they're the ones that pop into my head, but HubSpot and Calendly and QuickBooks and Hootsuite and MailChimp, and they're paying for them all individually, it just comes off a credit card on different days of the month, and they don't really know or keep track of how much they're spending. We've taken businesses, exactly as you said, Simon, who are spending £400, £500, £600 a month, because don't forget, they're licensing them for multiple users in the organization, whether or not they probably need them. And we've taken them down to spending, well, anywhere between 35 and maybe, I think our top kind of SME business is probably spending £300 or £400 a month on Zoho One, but that gets them all of those applications. And the other thing, just to stress, without labouring the point about Zoho too strongly, is Zoho One is all 50 applications in one suite. Because of that, obviously, they all talk to each other perfectly well. So rather than using Hootsuite and another piece of software and trying to get them to integrate, which inevitably they will integrate because somebody's created an integration, Zoho One is designed with all of those integrations in mind, and so that it works together seamlessly.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Makes complete sense. And I've been in that situation where I'm paying for Xero over here and Calendly over here and so on and so forth. So it's very easy to rack up the bills, as you rightly say. So can you give us some examples, perhaps some customer examples of where you've helped them to automate and systemize their business, and they probably haven't had to hire a new member of staff because of that, and so on? What does that look like in the real world?
Yeah, so the example I'll probably give, because it's the one that we come across most. So we do all sorts of automation. So at a basic level, every business we will put in automation, such as automated emails based on incoming leads and lead activity. So if a lead comes in off your website, it should be going into your CRM system. If it's not, pick up the phone and give me a call, because it absolutely should be. But if a lead comes in off the website, they fill in a form or they engage with your chatbot, that should be going straight into your CRM system. And then the system will know multiple things about that lead based on what the customer put in. So it might be the number of employees they've got, it might be their location by postcode, it might be annual turnover, it could be any of those things that you choose to ask them. The system at that point will know those criteria, and we will make it create a series of actions based on that. So if a lead comes through and it's equal to or above your sweet spot in terms of business company size or whatever else, we can create a automated email to go straight back to the customer. maybe with some really nice case studies attached or a link to a YouTube video to show them that you're acknowledging the lead and to keep them happy and give them something to engage with while you formulate a response. And then that lead can be automatically assigned to a certain person. So it might be the business owner, it might be the sales director, or it might just be someone within the team.
Yeah.
And then it enters at what we call a blueprint. And a blueprint is basically a series of tasks and actions based on what happened. So the level of engagement, are these people opening your emails? Are they responding to your phone calls? Because you should be phoning through your CRM system. All of these things we put in place to mean that when that lead comes in, it goes all the way through to the end of the process to either deal won or deal lost right at the end, without people having to get involved any more than they need to get involved. Going back to my original comment about do the things you need to do and not the things you don't. So that's kind of a standard thing that we implement, and also things like task setting as well. So if a lead hasn't engaged with you or you haven't engaged with them for a certain number of days, you can automatically create a task for you to phone them. You phone them through the system, obviously, because that's what you should be doing. And when you finish that call, you can pick a call outcome from a list. So it might be a success, it might be couldn't get hold of them, might be they told me never to call them again, whatever it happens to be. You select that outcome, and again, that outcome triggers a whole load more actions, automations, and workflows to help you to hopefully close that lead. So there are a couple of examples of how we help businesses, and they sound fairly kind of simple and basic, I guess. But when we sit down, so one of the first things we do with any business is we sit down and map out their processes from start to finish. Sounds like a really daunting task. It's not once you get started. You take a big piece of paper and a big marker pen and start doing that. It won't take you more than probably half an hour, hopefully. And what we do is we do that, and then we look at every single lead or opportunity that business might get. So where could they come from? So website, phone call, walk-ins, if it's a shop or a gym or something else, referrals. We look at every single opportunity for them to get a lead or an opportunity. And then we make sure that every single one of those is being fed into the system automatically. If it is, then we can go on. We can go and work our magic thereafter.
You said something in the middle there that I caught, which was if you're not phoning from your CRM, you should be. I think was what you said. So if we just go back to the whole process for a second. So there's a social media post goes out of Zoho, whatever that's called, social presumably.
Zoho Social, yep.
Yes, it goes out of Zoho Social. The person ends up on your website. So they've been on the website with another Zoho tool, presumably.
Sales IQ, yep.
Sales IQ. They've been on your website. And so now there's a lead entry in your system. They then go on to fill in a form, and the form is asking for, I don't know, an ebook download or something else. And now you've got all of their data in the system. And so then you can email them automatically.
Yep.
Presumably, if you've got their mobile number, can you then click a button in the CRM and have that customer called and the call be registered in the CRM so they've been called?
Yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing. So so as part of the setup, we would integrate your CRM system with your telephony system. So that might be a VoIP system, it might be your mobile phone, it might be whatever system you use. We'll integrate the two, and that means put your headset on or put your earphones in or whatever else. If you click a green button next to the phone number in the CRM record, it will call them from the system. It will record that call if you choose to record that call. It will tell you how long the call was, and it will also track incoming calls as well. So if someone calls you and their number is in the CRM system, it will track that John Smith called me on whatever day it was, and we spoke for 20 minutes.
Okay. So just continuing that then. So they're now in the system. You've called them. You know that they've been called. Their lead score you mentioned earlier on is increasing as a result of that. They now want to book a session with somebody to do business discovery or something similar. There's a Zoho part for that booking, presumably Zoho bookings. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
They book that. They then go into your sales pipeline, which is tracked presumably in Zoho.
In the CRM, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get to the point where they want to work with you, so you can issue an agreement.
Yeah, you can issue a contract or an agreement or whatever it happens to be, a proposal that they can digitally sign. So there's something called Zoho Sign, funnily enough, and that's basically like DocuSign or EchoSign or whatever the Adobe one is called. So exactly the same principle.
Yeah. Okay. So literally every part of the process, from the initial lead all the way through. Oh, and then I'm guessing you can issue an invoice out of Zoho as well, presumably.
You can, yeah. You can issue a Zoho out of you can issue an invoice out of Zoho and integrate it with an external finance system, or you can use Zoho Books, which is included in Zoho One, and that's essentially like QuickBooks or Xero or one of those kind of cloud accounting software. That's what we use. We use Zoho Books for everything.
Got it. Okay. So when you say the operating system for your business, literally everything end to end.
Literally 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. So if we just go back to teams, right? So we want to improve the performance of teams. What's your number one tip for increasing productivity in SME teams?
If I think of let's think of a sales team for a moment, is probably lead scoring. So going back to what we said, so let me just explain a bit more about lead scoring. So lead scoring is a term that gets kind of thrown around a lot on the web, and is quite a simple concept, which is basically giving a score or a series of points to a lead or an opportunity or a contact a person based on two things. One is their interaction with you, their engagement. So do they open your emails? That's obviously tracked through the system. Do they open your campaign marketing emails? Do they pick up the phone? Do they come to your events or attend your webinars? That kind of, do they interact with you on social media? All of those things can be tracked. Yeah. So their interaction and engagement with you. And another really crucial part, which often gets overlooked, which is the kind of the criteria of them as a business. So are they over or under 5, 10, 15, 20 employees? Are they over or above £500,000 turnover a year? Are they in a certain postcode? Are they in a certain industry? The system knows all of this sort of information. And so what the system does is it takes a lead. So you can put a lead into the system, and then you work that lead, send them emails, kind of engage with them, add them to your marketing flows and all the rest of it. And you look at that in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months later, that lead has got a score against it. The number one benefit, or the fastest benefit that we've seen for multiple clients, is put leads into your system, wherever they come from, trade shows, events, referrals, get the leads into your system, market to them, email them, call them, do all the stuff you should be doing anyway as a business who's trying to sell to them. Yeah. With lead scoring turned on, look at that lead again in however long's time, depends on what your sales process is, I guess, but let's just say it's 2 weeks' time. Look at that in 2 weeks' time, and that will have a lead score. So now you take all of your leads, you filter high to low, so lead score high to low, so the most engaged that fit your criteria, the best at the top, and down to the ones that don't at the bottom.
Right.
And call out on those, or give those to your telemarketing agency. So we worked with one client who engaged the telemarketing agency. They had loads of leads. They gave them the leads. They booked a couple of calls a week. It was fine. It was, to start with, the client was like, this is quite impressive. We were happy with this. And actually, that never improved, and it stayed pretty stagnant. We turned on lead scoring and set it up with them. 3 months later, they are at the start of every month, they give to the telemarketing agency a list of high to low scored leads, basically exactly the process I just described to you in Excel. There's nothing complex about this. And the telemarketing agency starts at the top of the list, the most engaged, that fit your criteria the best, and call down the list. And the difference was phenomenal. 6, 8, 10, 12 leads booked a week. Why? Because when they called out and the prospect answered the phone, they recognized the company name that was calling them, because they've been receiving emails and opening emails and everything else. Yeah. Maybe they'd looked at the website because they'd received a series of emails or social media posts or something else that pointed them to the website. All of that stuff sounds really simple and quite basic, but you can only do it if you're tracking it in your system, and your system is performing the scoring for you. And that company, I mean, it's just been transformational for them, completely transformational.
Very good, very good. That's a great example. And again, that's saving on labor, right? Because all that hard work of manually addressing all of these things is all automated in the system. All you have to do is call the person with the highest lead score, and then hopefully that's a meeting booked, and you go from there.
Yeah, and it does two things. I mean, there's saving on labour, which is obviously important, and all the rest of it. But there's the whole argument we don't want systems to replace people and all the rest of it. The other argument is simply to say you can just make more calls and more successful calls and everything else, because you're not wasting your time calling rubbish. You're starting with good, valid data and working your way through it. You will be more productive if you're calling. You'll be more inspired, be more enthusiastic, and all the rest of it, because you're not getting told to shove off every time someone answers the phone to you. So there's all sorts of benefits to that.
Okay. Very interesting. So lead generation. So we just talked about how you handle a lead. So let's just talk about lead generation for a second, because again, from a company point of view, I'm a business coach by day. Obviously, the vast majority of people that we talk to, their biggest issue, apart from cash, which we'll talk about in a separate webinar, but in this one is, how do I get more leads into my business? And so you talked about the benefit of lead scoring there, but perhaps we could just touch a little bit on the whole social media management bit. One of my biggest criticisms of most businesses is their plan is usually either non-existent, or it's so full it's in a drawer and they never open it.
Yeah.
And part of that should be your content plan for marketing, for social media. And I remember you telling me that there's a marketing tool within Zoho that allows you to manage all of this. So just talk a bit about lead generation and where your approach to lead generation has helped a client of yours, a business, to grow their revenues.
So there's probably 3 tools within Zoho which contribute to generating leads, basically. To follow on from what you were just saying there, Simon, the primary one is Zoho Social. So Zoho Social is a bit like something like Hootsuite. So it's a social media scheduling tool, but again, surprise, surprise, it links back to the CRM if you're using Zoho CRM. And it feeds from the data that's in there, and it feeds the engagements back into the CRM record. So in Zoho Social, you can schedule posts. Most people choose to schedule them a month in advance, basically, so they can schedule their posts. It has a really nice feature in that it learns about what you're doing as a business. So it learns, what your interactions are like on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, or wherever you're posting to. And basically, rather than just pushing a post out at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, which everyone does, what it does is it picks the optimal time and date based on the channel you're putting it through and how your statistics look. So it might be at, I don't know, 2:47 on Wednesday might be the optimal time, or whatever it deems possible. So you select that option, you schedule all your posts, and they go out. So first of all, you're going to probably get a higher engagement rate. That feeds back into the CRM. You can create leads, or you can create opportunities based on people's interaction. So someone likes a social media post on Facebook. This might be a bit of a stretch, but if someone likes your Facebook post, they can be a lead in your system if you want them to be. If someone comments or shares or does something else or messages you privately, that can become a lead in the system. So you can use it to generate leads, and then you can contact those leads and start to market to them, obviously with permission and all the rest of it. So that's a really powerful tool. If you get it right, it requires very little time investment. Someone needs to schedule the posts, obviously, but they can do that once a month, because you literally do it a month in advance. You schedule them once a month. So just take a couple of hours, or not even that, once you're into the swing of things, and get those scheduled. But the other one that I really like talking about is Zoho Bookings. So Zoho Bookings is a bit like Calendly. So it enables people to book a call, basically, or book an appointment or a meeting or whatever you want to call it with someone within the business. So it might be the business owner, or it might be the salespeople, or the consultants, or the personal trainers, or whoever it happens to be. So you put this on the website and allow people to book sessions with you. But what you can do is you can customize the email. So when they book a session, so it might be you're a business coach, Simon, and I might want to have a discovery session with you about business coaching. So you've got a free discovery session. It's 15 or 30 minutes long. So you put that on your website. I can book that with you. Goes into your calendar, goes into my calendar, because it's linked to your calendar, so I can see your availability, or so the calendar can see your availability. All fairly standard stuff. When someone books that call, obviously they're going to get an email to say, thanks very much for booking a call with Simon. It's on this day at this time, and this is how you speak to him, phone number or Zoom link or whatever it happens to be. That email can be personalized, and you can start adding videos, links, PDFs, anything you want into that email. So what you could do is I could get an email which says, thanks so much for booking a call with Simon. He's really excited to speak to you. This is a link to his LinkedIn profile. Here's some videos of client testimonials and blah, blah, blah. The system knows, obviously, because it's looking at these things, if I'm looking at those links, or if I'm downloading those files or what have you. And then suddenly you have that call with me, and you can say, I saw you had a quick look at the LinkedIn profile, or you downloaded and watched this video. What did you think? And that offers a great starting point. So it's a really simple appointment booking system that actually can be used relatively easily and with relatively little kind of manipulation to be a really powerful tool. We use those in, I probably haven't got time to talk about it now, in telemarketing flows and other stuff as well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yes, if lead generation is your biggest challenge, you've got to be out there, social media, email campaigns. I know we touched on that briefly, but presumably with the CRM being, I think you said, the heart of the system.
Yeah, that's exactly
you
right.
can bring in those leads, and you can then market directly out of the CRM to those leads. Are you an advocate of SMS or WhatsApp marketing? And is that practical these days?
Yes. We don't recommend it for kind of just an out and out marketing, kind of spamming people in inverted commas technique. But at a certain point within the cycle, it becomes relevant. So yes, later on, when they're much warmer and they're much more engaged with you, that is a tactic we use. And also one of the biggest benefits to using SMS or WhatsApp messaging is, so we've got one client that runs lots of events. They run probably one every other month, maybe one a month. And basically, they use Zoho campaigns to automate the emails that go out to invite people to those events, which is a whole nother call to just talk about how that works. But it's really, really clever. But one of the final things, if someone books onto an event, so they get a ticket, obviously most of the time they're free, but they get a ticket anyway to check in when they get to the event and get their name badge. But as part of that, we ask for their phone number. And the day before the event and on the morning of the event, we send them a text message or WhatsApp message or whatever it happens to be to say, don't forget, it's at this location at this time. Parking's a bit of a problem around there. So here's where we suggest you park, and maybe a link to a Google map or something else.
Yeah.
That has transformed the amount of people that turn up to their free events. So people used to sign up and not turn up because they forgot or whatever else. But they feel like they're being spoken to and remembered all the way up to and including when they arrive at the event. And actually, one, it just acts as a reminder for people who are too busy. But two, it's a prompt to say, actually, they've remembered to remind me about it. They've given me where to park and all the rest of it. And it's just another reason for them to actually make the effort to turn up. So
and make it nice and easy for them in the process, which is obviously also crucial, isn't it? You don't have to work too hard to do that. So you're right. Everybody carries their phone around every day. So getting a WhatsApp or an SMS on the day of the event or
can come up on your watch
is huge. Yeah, on your watch.
Yeah, so it might, if it's an SMS, it will come up on your smartwatch or something. So it's just if it's on the morning of an event, sending them an email is no good because they've got loads of emails. Send them a text message or WhatsApp message.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, that's been brilliant. So I don't have any direct questions from our audience as of right now. So you've clearly done a great job. We've got a couple of minutes left. So perhaps you would just, if there was one thing you could get every business owner to do right now as a result of listening to this call, what would it be?
One of two things, and I would probably say what I said earlier, which is don't do the whole business process thing. We'll do that with you if you want to have a chat. Take an A4 bit of paper and write down every single source of leads that you've got. If I ask you the question, you'll think of 3 or 4, when actually you might have 8, 9, or 10 when you have to really think about it. Write down every source of leads that you have: phone, chatbot, web form, email, referrals, walk-ins, whatever they happen to be. Write them down, and then if your CRM system accepts those in as leads automatically or with very, very, very little effort, put a tick next to it. And if it doesn't, give me a call.
Very good advice. Good advice. So at the end of this, we got a few seconds left. I'll send out your brochure to everybody.
Great.
So they'll have your details. But if somebody wants to leave this call immediately and jump on your website, where do they find you?
SME Advantage, so smeadvantage.co.uk.
Very good. And lots of information on there about how they can they book a call with you using Zoho?
Of course they can, yeah. Of course they can. They can book a call. That's what we prefer people to do. We try and push people towards booking a call because then we can have a chat with them. But you can leave a message or you can engage with the chatbot or whatever else. But yeah, book a call. And it's free, no obligation. We don't charge anything, not a single penny, until any project may or may not start, basically. So when that project starts, then we start to invoice, basically, but not before that.
Perfect. Great stuff. Sounds really, really good. It's unbelievable for £35 a month. So I'm gonna run away and take a look at the system now and see what's what. Thanks, Seb. Really appreciate your time. Been good to chat to you. This is the second time you've been on this week, because we do this at 8 a.m. on a Monday and 12:30 on a Thursday. I'm not quite sure what's on next week, but if you are listening, take a look at the website, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much, Seb. Been great to see you.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers.